Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Fan Fatales. I'm Emma.
And I'm Gaby, and this week we're going to be discussing all things Star Wars. We're going to talk about fan theories, and we're going to talk about the best and worst moments in regards to female empowerment. Plus, this is our first episode talking about Star Wars, me and Emma together.
Yes, I mean, sure, I did talk about it with Ashley, Maddie, and Eloise a while back, but Star Wars is what brought us together. I mean, technically the Clone Wars musical.
But that's still Star Wars, so.
True. And we haven't talked about it on the show yet, except for minor bits and pieces in other episodes.
I know, and I'm so excited to hear your opinions on some of these things that we have written down. We haven't talked about this at all, you guys. I have no idea what she's going to talk about. I'm so excited to talk to Emma about this.
Yep.
So, do you want to get started?
Of course.
Awesome.
So, before we get on to the rest of the episode, I just wanted to do a little get to know you with some Star Wars based questions. These are the same questions I asked Ashley, Maddie, and Eloise, so our audience could get to know them better.
Awesome. Let's get started.
Okay. So, what is your favorite ship as in relationship?
Okay. So, I have two favorites.
Okay.
My first one definitely has to be Anakin and Padme. They're I don't know, for me, even though it turns out not so great at the end, they're relationship goals to me.
Yeah, they're one of my two as well.
Yeah, because duh. And the other one is Han and the Millennium Falcon.
What, is this a Drapple situation with Draco and the apple?
No, I'm just kidding. It's Han and Leia. I mean, they fight a lot, but it's got that intensity in the fighting where it's that passionate fighting, where it's fight, make out,
Yes.
Exactly. That's exactly how they are. So
yeah.
for
and
me,
mine is Hera and Kanan from Rebels.
Yeah.
I love them.
Which I haven't seen Rebels yet.
Sad.
Don't come for me.
Sad.
I don't know. I'm waiting. I just finished Clone Wars not too long ago, so I'm just kind of trying to from the end of that,
Yeah. So speaking of Rebels, the next question is, what is your favorite ship? Which mine is the Ghost, which is the ship from Rebels. And then my second favorite, however, has been the Marauder, which is the Bad Batch's ship. Because Bad Batch.
That's so funny that it's called the Marauder.
I know, right?
And we have the Marauders from Harry Potter. That's just
I love it so much. It looks so cozy, and they each have their own little bunk area that is for them, decorated by them. Wrecker made one for Omega.
I love that for them. That sounds amazing.
I love it so much. So what's yours?
I love that for them. It's got to be the Millennium Falcon, dude. Always has been.
True.
Always will be. It's such a classic. I love the Millennium Falcon so much. Just amazing.
Yeah. So, what Star Wars character are you most like?
Okay. See, this is a difficult question.
I mean, we had to do a mix.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm any one character in particular. Same. I mean, if I had to pick one, I'd probably say I'm most like Padme. But if we're able to mix, then I'd say a little bit of Padme and a little bit of Leia. Just kind of throw them together,
Yeah. Whereas mine is Hera, Padme, and Leia, which is according to Ashley and everyone, was major mom friend vibes. And they did bring up the fact that
very much
the Star Wars character that we are most like is obviously our Enigma character. So Ashani for Ashley, Gabriella for you.
Well, yeah, if we're including Enigma characters, duh.
Duh, it's our characters that we literally
it's us.
Is us. Yeah. Which I thought was funny.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I just said, 3 times. Oh my gosh. Can you tell I'm still loopy from pain meds? For those of you who don't know, which is almost everybody, I just had surgery on Thursday, so I'm still a little loopy from pain meds.
And it's Saturday when we're recording this.
Yeah, I'm still on some pain meds that are pretty crazy, and I'm a little loopy. It's okay.
It's okay. So, who is your favorite droid? Mine is Chopper, my favorite war criminal. Love him.
I mean, if for those of you who aren't on video, I'm wearing a BD1 shirt.
I love
So,
that.
like,
I love that so much.
BD1 is my favorite. He's been my favorite for a while. But like if I had to choose from like the films and TV shows, probably R2. I love the classics.
Same.
That's the thing.
I think I'd have to choose R2 if we were going off of just like the
films.
movies.
Yeah.
And by movies, I know that Chopper is like technically canon, and I think we see him in like background of something. I think Rogue One.
Yeah, I think so.
It's Rogue One. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I love Chopper.
Yeah, I mean, BB-8 is like a close second.
Oh yeah, I love BB-8 and K2, K2SO.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I like K2.
Or IG-11.
Yeah. Wait, what? The Bad Batch have a gonk droid, and I love it so much. I can't remember its name.
I don't know. I haven't watched Bad Batch.
But they have a gonk droid. Here.
Emma's looking it up right now. I mean, let's be honest.
It's Gonky. Gonky is literally the name of their droid.
Gonky?
Yeah, like Gonky.
I love it. It's like Kronk, but not. But like, they put so much personality into these tiny little droids.
I know, right?
And I am here for it. I love that.
Same. So, what is your kyber crystal color?
Okay, here's the thing. I desperately want to say it would be pink or purple because those are like my favorite colors. Like pink is my
purple
absolute
is
favorite
still
color.
A color.
I mean, yeah. I mean, purple's
and if
a color.
You let the Mace Windu lightsaber like lose its batteries, it turns purple.
I love it
when it
yes
when it loses its batteries for the Galaxy's Edge ones.
They turn pink.
It turns pink.
I love it. I mean, okay. I would really like to say it would be pink or purple, but we know that's probably not going to happen because you got to be pretty special to get one of those, and my friends, am not a main character. So, I'd probably end up with like blue.
You see, I'd probably do green. That's what I chose when I did my lightsaber building at Savi's workshop in Batu East. And that's what Kana's would have been if I had a green lightsaber when I started making her. But
fair.
She's blue forever now.
Yep.
Kana's my OC for those of you who don't know.
I mean, she could lose her lightsaber.
Yeah, but that's too much work to make that storyline, and I'm already having to do her Order 66 storyline, so...
That's fair. Have you seen those posts that are like, every time Anakin had to go get a new kyber crystal with all of the, like, new Jedi, he's just, like, so over it, and they're all excited and terrified, and he's just like, meh.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny.
And if you were, and this is our last question, if you were in the Star Wars universe and weren't human, what species would you be?
I think you should go first because my answer is kind of stupid.
Okay. I said Twi'lek, and yeah, it's gonna be a Twi'lek. I know it's basic, but I love them so much. I mean, Hera Syndulla, her mom, I forget her mom's name, but we now have seen her mom in canon.
Mm-hmm.
I love her mom.
I'm surprised you didn't say a Togruta.
I also would like to be a Togruta, but like also Mac and I, like our good friend Mac, she and I are making Jedi OCs right now, and they're gonna be Twi'lek Jedis together, Master and Padawan.
That's cute. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I am Mac's Master.
Oh, cute.
She's my Padawan.
Aww.
I haven't decided what color, but yeah.
Green.
Green. Okay, I know I want to make her have a purple lightsaber. Which is
then
why
maybe
I'm
do
like,
blue.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm thinking blue
might be better, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to be mistaken for Ayla Zakar, so I'm like...
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
It's been hard. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I will figure it out at some point. Go with your answer.
My answers are really dumb. So... Emma's cracking up. She thinks my answers are so stupid. And I said this one's really a hard question. Because as much as I would like to say a Twi'lek, I'm definitely not a Twi'lek. I'd probably be like a freaking Ewok or like a Jawa or something.
I'd also like to be a Pantoran. That's cool. We see them in Clone Wars. Senator Tucci. The blue.
Oh, yeah. She's cool.
I like her.
She's cool. Okay. It's been a while since I've...
Yeah.
I mean, I just
Ashley
finished it, but it's been a while.
Ashley mentioned on the podcast, but she wants to cosplay Tucci.
Yes. I see it.
I do too.
See it. But yeah, I'd probably be an Ewok or a Jawa. I saw this one post forever ago about this dad who took his kids to Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, and they were all dressed up as Jawas. And they, like, drove around this little wagon, and they were, like, stealing props and, like, cones and, like, caution wet floor signs. They put them back, but, like, they were being true Jawas, and I was crying. I thought it was the funniest thing.
Well, during Star Wars weekends, you could, like, literally trade with them, kind of like the pin trading, but, like, other stuff.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. I never did it, but I've seen videos of it. Should we go on to some of the Star Wars fan theories?
Yeah, especially because there's so many.
So I went on Reddit and I was scrolling through and I only chose 3 because there were so many. And it was a lot of Bad Batch ones that I were noticing for the beginning, which have already been disproven by, like, later episodes of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, so clearly we can't do those. Plus, I haven't seen Bad Batch yet, so I have no opinions on these.
I mean, we do have one that you will barely have an opinion on because it is Rebels, but...
I mean, still. I know enough about Rebels, and, like, at least as it pertains to the Mortis arc, just because of how much it tied back into Mandalorian.
True.
I did a lot of research after that episode of Mandalorian, because I was like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
I had a moment where I was just like, what? So I did a lot of research reading. So I know enough, you know?
Yeah. So I was on call with our lovely editor, Kara, when I was starting to look up some of these fan theories. And I mentioned how I needed fan theories and to give me some. And she went, and I quote, quirky freaking Kenobi.
I mean, come on. There is no way. Okay. First of all,
there is no way.
No.
Because he's not Bo's kid.
No. And we never hear or see of any other sibling.
Exactly. So
they never talk about any other sibling. And we're saying there's no way that he's not Satine and Obi-Wan Kenobi's son. Just because okay,
he looks way too much like a shaven Obi-Wan, first of all.
Clearly he's not going to be Bo-Katan's kid, because duh. She is, like, no. And then Satine and Bo-Katan never talk about having any other siblings. They don't talk about having a brother. No, they only talk about each other. About having a sister. They only talk about each other. So it's like, how in the heck can it be Aunt Satine? You can't say, I'm air quoting this. Aunt Satine, if there's no other sibling that we ever hear about. I mean, in theory, there could be another sibling that they never discuss, but that wouldn't make any sense at all.
No, it wouldn't.
Any of the plot at all.
It really would not. And yeah, it has to be.
Yeah,
and just like Obi-Wan doesn't know, and we're gonna find out in the Obi-Wan series.
Yes, and Satine, it's gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Guaranteed. Yes. That is hands down one of the most, like, widely accepted ones, at least as it pertains to Clone Wars. Yeah. It's definitely that, like, Corky is totally Obi-Wan's kid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hands down. No questions asked. And next. Like.
I didn't even write, like, the, like, reasons people think that this was a theory, because we both know it, and we know it's to be true.
It's totally true.
Unlike the next two.
Yeah, the next two are debated. I don't actually agree with the next one.
Okay, I honestly don't either. But
I don't think there's enough evidence to support it. But let's get into that one.
Okay. So Jar Jar was a secret Sith Lord.
Yeah, that seems like a load of BS to me.
Though, I do think that, like, if he wasn't as hated as he was, like, after Phantom Menace, it could have been a plot line. But he was so hated that the fans... that George Lucas decided no character.
I mean, it could be in theory. I think it's just he's just so dumb.
Yeah.
I think he's too stupid to be a Sith Lord, in all honesty. Like,
True.
I love him as a comedic relief. I think he is so stupid, and it brings me so much joy, especially in the Clone Wars in, like, season 1. when they're on, you know exactly what I'm talking about, when they're on Rhodia and he makes the whole ship fall apart. I think that's, and he like scoops up C-3PO with the giant magnet and like he goes swimming in the water and just disappears. I don't know why. I think that scene is hysterical. That one kills me every single time.
Yeah.
But
the big reason of this theory is that he's really close with Palpatine and is the one to convince the entire Senate to give him emergency powers, which led to the fall of the Republic.
Again, I chalk that up to him just being an idiot.
True.
And not knowing. Plus, okay, who at that time was actually suspicious of Palpatine? A very small group of people, right? Like the people that were like, this isn't right. It was like Padme.
Bail,
yeah. Senator Organa, like, that's it.
Mon Mothma.
Yeah. Some of the Jedi, they were a little sus, but not really.
No.
Like, I think the one who was most sus was probably Obi-Wan. He was probably like, I don't know, man.
True.
But, like, you know, nobody else knew. So it was like, I don't know. I don't think that's concrete enough evidence just because Jar Jar is just so stupid. That's my only reasoning, is he's just too stupid. He's not smart enough to do this. He can't think of this stuff.
True. And I mean, you have been watching the movies on,
I know.
like, bedlock after your surgery.
Well, I've literally just been sitting on my couch watching Star Wars. So, like, this is fresh in my mind. I was just watching this being like, true. Wow, he is an idiot.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all I have to say.
Honestly, same. The next one is that there is a Mortis arc continuation with Ahsoka Tano and Ezra Bridger from Rebels. For those of you who do not remember the Mortis arc, it shows the struggle between the daughter, the light side of the Force, and the son, the dark side of the Force, for control over the Force, with the father in between them, creating the balance.
Yes, I do remember that. And the artwork for that arc is just beautiful.
I love the daughter so much.
Right?
And at the end of this arc, the daughter gives her life to save Ahsoka, which causes Ahsoka to have the life essence of the daughter. This is shown with Morai, which is her female owl thing.
Mm-hmm. And you can actually see it if you pay really close attention in The Mandalorian. When she's first introduced and you're, like, looking through those trees, like, just before she's introduced, you can see Morai.
And I mean, you can see her with it during Rebels.
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
I mean, that's a little bit more, like, in your face. In The Mandalorian, I think they drop Morai in as, like, a little hint as to, like, ooh, it's Ahsoka. Ooh.
Yeah.
You know?
And Morai has spiritual ties to the daughter and is now following around Ahsoka, as we mentioned, because the daughter gave her life essence to save Ahsoka's life. So the idea with this theory is that the son's life essence was transferred to Ezra through the Sith holocron, making Ezra the reincarnation of the son. During that season, he discovers the Sith holocron, opens it with Darth Maul, and then starts using the knowledge of it to, like, learn more about the Force, and then starts, like, using the dark side more and more, which causes his master Kanan to be like, hold up, what's going on here? Yeah, and takes it away.
I'd be pretty upset if I found out that my Padawan was starting to, like, turn to the dark side,
yeah,
too.
Because, like, Ezra, in the first season, he does have, like, a dark side moment, but, like, he's also, like, 14 and, like, 5 lessons in to being a Jedi.
Yeah.
This is him, like, fully, like, knowing what this artifact is and being like, that. I want to learn from that. And the thought is that Kanan is the reincarnation of the father with his connection to Loth Wolves and always trying to keep Ezra in balance with the light side.
I kind of see where it could come from.
I can see it too. I want to see in the Ahsoka show when we do get Ezra, because it's confirmed casting that we have Ezra and Thrawn. And it's Mina Mazad, who played Aladdin in the live-action Aladdin movie, is going to play Ezra.
Him. Yes.
And I'm so excited. And then the actual voice actor for Thrawn is playing Thrawn.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That made me very happy for both casting. choices.
I mean, granted, when I saw it, I was just like, oh, that's cool. There's Thrawn in it. Cool. Like, I didn't really actually read it.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, if we're going to get them in the Ahsoka show, and if we get more signs of that, of him being the son, then it will be more concrete. I do believe Kanan is the reincarnation of the father, though, because the Loth Wolves are very important to his story. I don't want to really spoil that part, but...
I mean, I see where it's coming from. I just don't think there's enough evidence to
True.
To prove
Again,
it.
I'd like to see more evidence before I, like, fully believe it, but I can see the beginnings of it.
Yeah, like, a lot of people still believe that Anakin was the incarnation of the son.
Yeah.
Which I kind of believe, but not really. I don't know.
Yeah, same. I feel like this is kind of like the three brothers theory with Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's kind of fuzzy. It can be anybody, and until it's more is like more pieces are put together, we can't really tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
That was our last theory.
Yeah. Now we're gonna move on to some opinions. Some kind of like debated opinions. Some are kind of not debated at all. Some people are like, no, this is exactly how it is.
So shall we get started?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So the first one we have is that Padme was killed by Palpatine.
Yes.
And I literally wrote, yes, absolutely. Anyone who says she gave up is so unbelievably wrong in all caps. Like, yes.
Yeah. When I was actually looking up fan theories for the earlier segment, I saw a bunch that said that Palpatine used her life force to give life to Darth Vader after.
Yeah. I believe that.
I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, because if you look at the state of which Anakin is, literally 3 limbs missing. Like, completely burned head to toe. Like, he is, like, on the precipice of death. Like, he is so close to dying when Palpatine comes to pick him up. And Padme was totally healthy. Like, there was no signs that she was having any problems at all. So I 100% think Palpatine gave Padme's life force so that Darth Vader
especially
could live.
since she was part of the rebellion the first day. So getting rid of one
Getting
of the
rid of her-
rebellion's major leaders.
Yeah, and now he had a way to, like, say, oh, she died in right? There's an excuse.
Yeah.
Oh, she died in childbirth, which is total BS. 100% BS. Padme fights anything and anyone. Amidala would not just give up, you know?
No. She would not.
No, she wouldn't just give up. So that's total BS.
Yeah. So the next one is Anakin and Padme were bad together, which, no, if anyone in Star Wars was bad together, like, was in a bad relationship, it's Han and Leia, in my opinion. But, yeah.
I disagree, actually.
Really? Who do you say?
Yeah. I think Han and Leia and Padme and Anakin have the same vibe. I think they're some of the most, like, accurate depictions of couples in pop culture.
Yeah, it's just my whole thing with A New Hope and Empire, with her, like, you know, them always arguing, and then her, like, kissing Luke out of spite and all that stuff.
I mean, but that's what happens in relationships.
True.
I mean, not necessarily kissing your brother out of spite for another person, because that's just crazy. But
she didn't know at that point.
No, she didn't.
George Lucas didn't know at that point.
Nobody knew. Yeah. But I think they're some of the more accurate relationships because they aren't, like, they fight, but they stay together through it. It's not like in most movies where couples get in a huge argument, they break up, that's it, and then they come back together at the end of the movie. You know, that's what happens in every single, like, rom-com. Yeah, every single romantic movie. They're together, they're happy, they're having a good time, big fight, break up, get back together at the end because they realize they're still in love. Whereas with Anakin and Padme, they fight, but it's like they never break up. They stay together through it and they work through it together. And I think it's kind of similar. Han and Leia have a different dynamic. Theirs is a little bit more passionate, and that's what I was talking about earlier, right? It's that dynamic of fight, and then make out, right? It's that they're so passionate about these two things, and they fight for fighting's sake.
Yeah.
Which like sometimes isn't okay, but later on in the sequels, you do see that they did have like a happy life together, and they actually were happy together.
Yeah, until their son turned to the dark side.
Well, yeah. But like you can see that they really do love each other, and they really are happy together. And so I think it's a similar thing. I think Anakin and Padme weren't actually that bad for each other. I think they're good for each other.
Same.
Because Padme teaches Anakin patience, and Anakin is able to help Padme like with her like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like initiative, I guess.
Yeah.
Like be able to start things, right? In the Senate when she's like, this thing isn't right, and he's like, well, why don't you do something about it,
Yeah.
He is like sitting on the sidelines being her biggest cheerleader, and he is so infatuated with her and so in love with her. I think it is so adorable. So
I know, right?
that's why for me they're couple goals, not necessarily the fighting. I mean, that happens for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it's more of the how deeply they are in love with each other, because no matter what, they still stick together, even when they have to be apart for like months and months on end.
Yeah.
And when they have to keep their relationship secret and all of that, I think that's a key like piece to why they work.
Yeah.
I could talk about this forever, so you should just cut me off now, because I can keep talking forever.
So the next opinion is that why did they keep Luke's real last name when giving him to Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen?
Because Obi-Wan knew Luke was stronger with the Force, and that Vader was going to come find Luke, and that it wouldn't matter if his name was Skywalker or not. Plus, is it not Owen Skywalker? Or no, he's the
Lars.
Lars, that's right. Okay.
He's the step brother.
That's right. Step brother, not half brother. Why did I think half brother? I don't know why.
I don't know.
But
my whole thing
okay,
is like
still.
we both know that like Anakin knew Padme was pregnant.
Yeah. So he's gonna go looking for his kid eventually.
Yeah. I don't know, like I feel like there could have been that assumption that the child died with Padme. Like they didn't know.
But Anakin is so strong in the Force, he'd be able to feel it. He would know.
Yeah. Doesn't
like,
explain why he waited 19 years.
I mean, no. Doesn't explain that at all. But I mean,
yeah.
Like you know, in that moment when Palpatine tells him that Padme is dead, and like I think the reason that scene is so like heartbreaking is because he knows through the Force, he knows she's gone,
Yeah.
Like her energy is no longer there, and he knows that.
Yeah.
So I think that's how. I think that's why. I think they knew it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
I don't know.
These are all our opinions.
Yeah.
Like if somebody like pop off in like the comments on YouTube if you want to. If you're like, no, this is what I think. I would love to hear your guys' ideas. Because these are like just hearing ourselves talk about it. We are very much on the same page about most of these.
Yeah.
So like I would like to hear other opinions if they're out there.
Yeah, same. So our last topic is really long. Like it's 4 pages in our notes.
So
and it's
strap in, everybody.
Strap in. And it's like best and worst moments in feminism in Star Wars. And for those of you who do not know, which I feel like is most people,
almost everybody,
yeah, is in one of my college English classes, we got to write a research paper about anything we wanted, and I chose the title and the topic, Gender Roles in a Galaxy Far, Far Away, and it covered...
Which I think is so clever. I just want to say, I think that's so clever.
Thank you. And it was basically covered, like, best and worst moments in feminism in Star Wars, from how the characters were treated to the actresses themselves. And a lot of the upcoming research is from that, and more, because there's been a lot more that's happened since since I started writing that.
Yeah, I'm sure, because that was like, what, 2 years ago?
So it was like 2019.
Yeah, and a lot has happened in the last
I think
few,
it was
few years.
the fall semester of 2019.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we hadn't even gotten Rise of Skywalker yet.
No.
Which is crazy.
Awesome. I'm like so excited to hear about some of this. Some of this I read, so I know some of it, but I'm so excited to hear the rest.
And not all of them are bad for the actresses.
Yeah.
I did mention a lot of the worst
More
moments.
negative things.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to save the best one for last, even though it's second on our list.
Okay.
But the first one is Carrie Fisher. And I mean, I feel like we all have heard that interview that she had where she talked about when she was brought to George Lucas, when she first tried on the Leia senator gown from that she wears in the majority of the first movie, and how he said, "You can't wear a bra under that dress." And when she asked why, he went, "There's no underwear in space."
Yeah.
But yet he changed his mind like 2 movies later / 6 years later when making Return of the Jedi, where she's in a full metal bikini.
Yeah. Which I guess one could argue that a bikini and underwear are not the same, but if there was no underwear, what is the need for a swimsuit?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
Kind of a moot point in my opinion.
And they like taped her gaff taped her breasts down. I was reading like in
the bikini or in the dress?
In the dress.
Oh, I believe it.
To
there is nothing. When I was literally just watching A New Hope today, and there's like
no support there.
Flat. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Which is like, how uncomfortable. I mean, personally, sometimes going without a bra for a day is nice. But going without it for too long, dude, it's just no. You know, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. So this next one is Daisy Ridley. I mean, I feel like we all know about all the crap
I feel
that
so
she's
bad for poor
through.
Daisy, honestly.
She's like, she
She's
has
so
said
much
in
hate.
interviews about how she just stays off of social media. But she talks about the fan reaction, and I wanted to quote from this article that literally quotes what she said word for word. And she said that it's changed film by film, like the fan reaction, and with 98% of all reactions, it's been amazing. But the last film, being Rise of Skywalker, was very tricky. And she even continued to say she felt like all of this love that we'd sort of been shown in the first time around, she went, where did the love go?
Yeah, I believe it. People, oh my gosh, at first, like, the whole Star Wars community was, like, super cool about the movies, and they were like, oh, this is cool, we got a girl, female character, all of us ladies were like, woo woo, you know?
And then she started being called a Mary Sue.
I know. Which is like...
And people were saying that she's way too powerful, which, like, honestly, you can argue Luke being way too powerful in the original trilogy.
Anakin being way too powerful. Yeah, so why is it that a girl can be... Why is it when they're the same level of strength, a girl is called too powerful?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, okay, when it comes to female characters like Carol Danvers, literally nobody was comparable to her power level.
No.
Nobody. So you knew she was always gonna win. Whereas with Rey, it didn't feel that way. It felt like she and Kylo were pretty evenly matched. You know?
I definitely agree.
The point, right? Vader and Luke are pretty evenly matched. Anakin and Palpatine are pretty evenly matched.
Yeah.
So... it bothers me that people say that.
It bothers me too, especially
she
because
did nothing wrong.
She's like a way too powerful pilot. Luke never flew until the Death Star being blown up
the first time,
and then Anakin was just a pod racer.
Yeah, like
he was a racer. He wasn't
the exact same storyline. But it's with a woman, and now that it's with the woman, they think that these problems are problems. When they have been issues the whole time. I literally, when I was watching A New Hope today, I was like, all of a sudden, he's like a master pilot. How'd that happen?
I know.
Like, I was like, okay, Luke, okay, Red 5, sure. And then in the next movie, all of a sudden, like, not even a year later, he's freaking rogue leader. Like, what?
Yeah.
How did that happen? It's like barely not even been a whole year.
Exactly.
And he's already a like squadron leader, like high up squadron leader. Like what?
Exactly. It makes me mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
So this next one, I mean, we're getting into more of the positive ones because I love how she responded. But, so it's Tia Zakar, who is the voice actress behind Sabine Wren in Rebels, along with a bunch of other characters in media in general. On the day that the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian came out, Tia Zakar tweeted that as a woman, a Star Wars fan and fan of TV/film, at Jon Favreau and at Dave Filoni, thank you a million times over for giving us 40 straight minutes of badass women kicking ass and taking names. And then some man came and commented on that, being like, you should watch Star Wars because there's always been badass women in Star Wars. You know how she retweeted, Gabby?
I'm so excited to hear this. Tell me. I'm so excited.
Fun fact, not only am I really a Star Wars fan, I also happen to be a voice actress of a Star Wars character who just happens to be one of those strong female characters. That doesn't make what I saw in the season finale of The Mandalorian any less thrilling or awe-inspiring. Spectre 5 out.
Yes! Yes! Pop off, sis! I love that for her.
I remember, like, witnessing it as it happened, and I was, like, texting my boyfriend Sean, like, Tia Zakar just popped off.
Yes. And, okay, yes, there have always been badass women in Star Wars, but there has only ever been one badass woman per movie.
Yeah, whereas...
So
you've seen The Mandalorian,
sequels.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen The Mandalorian.
That season 2 finale, where it's, like, literally 4 women just battling an entire battalion.
Which is amazing.
Yeah,
we've never had that before, right? Each movie has only had one, except for the sequels, in which there was 2.
Yeah, and then, like, I mean, you can kind of argue with Rebels with Sabine and Hera, but, like, Hera's a pilot, so she's usually just in the ship, just piloting away, and then Sabine's over there doing all the, like, actual fighting. Yeah, and I mean... Not to say, like, that Hera isn't badass. I mean, woman gets promoted to captain by the end of season 1.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly like in Clone Wars with Padme and Ahsoka, right? Yeah. But, I mean, they do 2 totally very different things. Whereas in the films, right, you just have Padme in the prequels.
You just have
Leia. And mainly you have Rey. I mean, Rose is in there, but she is not in there enough. I don't know why people hated on her so much. I thought she was perfectly fine. Same. I liked her a lot. I mean, her. It kind of upset me that they kind of put her and Finn kind of together in that kind of weird, like, romance thing.
I don't like it, but I don't like that either. And I'll mention this later, so I'll just do the thing that I'm going to mention later.
But yeah.
And the last moment is definitely the best for women in the Star Wars fandom and just nerdy culture in general. Yeah. Ashley Eckstein, the voice of Ahsoka Tano. I had to bring her up.
We love her. I love Ashley Eckstein. She has been amazing. She's amazing. Yes. I love her so much.
So I found this whole interview that she did with, actually, funny enough, the group is called The Mary Sue.
Stop. That's so funny.
Yeah. But they always, like, interview all these, like, badass, like, actresses, especially, like, Ashley Eckstein and other women like that. So for those of you who do not know, Ashley, back in 2008, when she went to go shopping for a Star Wars shirt on her first day working on the Clone Wars animated series, she came empty-handed because at that time, Star Wars merchandise for women was either out of stock or back-ordered, if not just a men's t-shirt put in the women's section.
Yeah, which... You know, as much as I love my comfy graphic tees, sometimes I want to look cute. Like, I want to wear something nerdy, but be cute, you know, be styling.
Exactly. So she did her own research and found that close to half of all science fiction and fantasy fans are women, and that 85% of consumer purchases are made by women. So she went to Lucasfilm. Like, woman went to Lucasfilm and was like, hey, can I design merchandise for women? Because there is a need for that. Which is the start of her brand, her universe.
which is now also expanded to our universe as well.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
She has a whole line of gender neutral clothing as well.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But her universe doesn't just have Star Wars, and it doesn't just have, like, Jurassic Park sci-fi. It also has, like, a ton of Disney stuff.
Yeah, like Alice in Wonderland is the big one.
Alice in Wonderland, the princesses, and everything. And they're cute and stylish and not done, like, in a, like, kitschy kind of weird way.
And they just did, their how many ever annual fashion show that they do.
I think this is I want to say this is, like, the 7th or 8th.
Okay.
I just got the email. I just read the email for this, too, the other day. I'm on the Comic-Con emails, and I just got it, like, yesterday.
And in that, she has people submit different ideas for other fandoms to do, and she always decides, like, 1 or 2 that they're gonna add to their plate. And I forget what it is this year.
And not only is it a fashion show, it's also a scholarship program.
Yeah.
Because it gives, I don't know, don't quote me on this, because I don't know exactly how much, but it is, like, a large sum of money to young designers to go to school. And if you win at least when I went in 2019, I think there was 20 applicants, maybe a few more.
Okay.
And you win, like, a large sum of money to go to school.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to compete a few times, but I've never had, like, the kind of fashion, like, insight to be able to do it, you know?
Same.
Like, as much as I would love to do that, and as much as I love sewing and designing, I would never have enough, like, inspiration to be able to do that on my own. So for those of you who have done it, for those who have done it, it's just so amazing to me that so many people can come up with such original designs based off of their favorite characters.
Same.
I'm sure this year we're going to see a lot of Loki branded designs.
I was just about I almost dropped my phone. But on the Her Universe website, that's the Loki outfit that won this year.
Yeah.
That was the first one that came up.
Yeah. And the wonderful thing about Her Universe also is that they have super inclusive sizes.
Oh, yeah.
They have everywhere from, like, extra small and, like, a size 00 all the way to 5. I think I've even seen, like, a 6X before.
I've seen a 6X before.
Yeah. At the place where I work that shall remain unnamed, we have a lot of Her Universe clothing in our women's section. Like, 90% of our women's section is Her Universe.
Oh, I love it. Mm-hmm. And so we decided that we were going to decide for the character portion to come up with our favorite and least favorite moments for some of these strong women in Star Wars.
Our list is going to include Ahsoka Tano, Rey Skywalker, and she is a Skywalker, excuse me.
Yeah.
For those of you who say she's not, she is.
She is.
Rose Tico, Padme Amidala, and Leia Organa.
Yep, and however, before we get started on our opinions and our order, our favorite to least favorite of these women, I wanted to talk a little bit about how Ahsoka was originally received by fans, because it might surprise you, but she wasn't always as well-liked.
I believe it. I mean, I know a lot of people were really upset when they saw that Ahsoka was going to be the main character of Clone Wars.
Yeah, so when she made her debut in the 2008 Star Wars The Clone Wars film, which kicks off the Clone Wars animated series, she wasn't liked at all because prior to that, we had no indication that Anakin had his own apprentice. She wasn't seen in Revenge of the Sith, and she was often very bratty and ignorant in that first movie. Yeah,
and that's part of the reason I ranked her where I did, honestly. Not necessarily because, I mean, I'll get into it.
Yeah. But however, as she started to grow up in the 3rd season, learning from her failures and growing through and maturing, and a lot of complex narrative arcs, like the leaving the temple, now with the Order 66 one, the Mortis arc, all of those, she became one of the most fan-adored appearances, or characters, which made her appearance in Clone Wars, Season 7, Rebels, and even The Mandalorian so well-liked.
Yeah. Well, more because I think...
Because we knew her.
Yeah, because we knew her, and she became more complex of a character, just like Anakin and like Obi-Wan and like Padme, right? They're interesting because they're complex people. Yeah. They're people.
Exactly. So do you want to do your order first for favorite to least favorite of these strong women?
For me, it's not necessarily an order of like favorite to least favorite. For me, it's more of, I think, objectively, who is the most feminist versus the least. That's
kind of what I did as well.
Or like the best role model versus the worst. Not necessarily the worst, but the least best, you know?
I don't like where you put Ahsoka.
I know you don't like where I put Ahsoka, but I put her there for a reason. And this is my personal preference.
I don't like this.
I know. So I put Rey as like the most, like, because she is the most involved out of any of these ladies. True. Just because the story is surrounding her. The whole trilogy is surrounding her. And so kind of by default, I felt like I had to put her in the front.
Okay.
And I also feel like she's the only one who doesn't really end up with a love interest at the end. Like, I mean, yes, there's a little bit of like a spark between her and Kylo, and there's weird
same with, like, Ahsoka. Like, there's only like a spark between her and Lux.
Yeah. There's that weird thing between her and Kylo, but like it doesn't really turn into anything else.
Yeah.
It's just kind of there. Like, it doesn't turn into like Anakin and Padme or like Finn and Rose. I'll get into that later. I don't like it.
No.
So the next I put Padme just because she never really stood. I felt like personally she never really stood idly by and let things happen to her. She was always really proactive, and she was always like ready to fight and take anybody down with her, you know?
I also put her as my second, so...
Yeah, mostly because she was also extremely vocal about things when she felt they weren't right, at the risk of her own safety, and at the risk of her own security, and that's, for me, like, the epitome of being a role model, is putting what you think is right before yourself. So next, I put Leia, just because she is so badass. Plus, she was like the original like role model for girls who are into sci-fi and girls who are into nerdy culture. So, which is like, you have to give it up to her, right?
Yeah. So I found out when I was researching that essay I mentioned earlier that Leia transformed what a science fiction heroine is with her leadership.
For sure.
Because up until that point, the female heroine was used. Like, just used her body as the weapon.
Yeah.
And her whole storyline, and her whole thing is she's a leader.
She is, a leader of people. She, like, literally, in Empire Strikes Back, she's the one who's giving all of the orders to all the pilots. She's standing with all of these male pilots surrounding her, giving them all orders and being a leader. And being a part of the fight and watching them and making sure they're like doing okay and like that kind of thing, which I think is awesome. And they listen to her, they respect her, you know?
Oh yeah.
And she's worthy of their respect because, you know, she doesn't need to use her body to do that, right? In Empire Strikes Back, they're on Hoth. She's totally covered up, whereas in other movies, you know, or other franchises, they'd be on Hoth, but she'd probably still be wearing a tank top and booty shorts, you know?
I mean, do you mean George Lucas putting the 14-year-old Ahsoka in a tube top for the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars?
Exactly.
Makes me mad.
Yeah. And like the one caveat is, of course, the gold bikini. Everybody thinks that's the one caveat. But I mean,
also, like,
she was forced into slavery, kidnapped. I don't know. That whole situation is kind of funky because she would not just like be submissive and go into it like without fighting, and we never see any like indication that she fought it. Like, we're supposed to assume she just like willingly went, which I'm like, that's total BS, but okay.
Yeah. Have you read the Leia book?
No.
Okay, I'll mention that when.
Okay. So yeah, that's like the only part that I'm kind of like, But, I mean, at least it's realistic for the climate, right? They're in the desert.
Exactly.
Right? Where it's 1,000,000 degrees. It's so hot in the desert.
It's not like...
It's not like
she's like superheroes outfits.
Yeah, it's
Black
not
Widow.
Like she's... Yeah. It's not like she's like in the middle of Hoth in a bikini. Like, that would make no sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one I wrote down is Rose. Now, I just personally think they didn't put her in the films enough to really be able to gauge how feminist or not feminist she is based off of these other ladies, because they're so prominent in these films, whereas Rose is just kind of a background character, which makes me sad because I really like her. I think she's so cute, and I like her character a lot.
I like how she and her sister have been in that fight.
Yeah.
And how close ties she has with her sister. Honestly, I'd prefer, and this is the first time I've thought about this, I'd prefer her to have like an Elsa and Anna situation where she don't need a man, she has her sister.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be fantastic. I think that would have been so much better than what they did with Finn.
Can we get a prequel show with her? That's what I was going to mention later. Can we get a prequel show with her and her
Rose and her sister
and Poe?
I'm here for it. And Poe. Okay.
Because I think in one of the comics, when I was researching Rose and like trying to find out how she was perceived, she's in one of the comics fighting with Poe at one point pre-Rey.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, they were both on the side of the rebellion
for a long time for both.
Yeah,
all three.
So
of them.
I believe it.
So yeah. So
I think that would be. Too. Yeah, I think that'd be cute. Like 3 best friends, like not like
Can
like
we get that, please?
Yes, like Ron, Harry, and Hermione, but like early on before Ron and Hermione started getting together. You know?
Yeah.
I want that. And then I put least Ahsoka mostly because I think she is like.
You've also only seen Clone Wars.
Yeah, I have. I'm judging her based off of Clone Wars and The Mandalorian, and I felt this way even in The Mandalorian. I still felt like she was quite reckless in The Mandalorian, and I was kind of like, So, I wrote this whole dissertation about it, basically.
I know. And then, do you see my rebuttal?
I know. I wrote, okay. So, although Ahsoka is outspoken and, like, brave and super bold, and yes, she's all those wonderful things, she's also really reckless. And she's, like, constantly getting herself into trouble, as well as Anakin. And she does do good things. It's not that she's, like, a bad person or a bad character. She does good things, and she is a fantastic character. Again, she's a complex character, which is fantastic. It's great to see such a complex character. And it's great to see a female or girl character as one of the like main characters in that series. Yeah. But in my opinion, I just think Padme is like, not that I'm trying to compare them, but I mean we are comparing them. Yeah. Padme is just a little bit of a stronger role model in my opinion. Just because, I mean, okay, Ahsoka's great for like sticking to your guns and like trying to do the right thing. But a lot of times she goes about it the wrong way, at least in my opinion, because she breaks the rules a lot and she goes against like the chain of command, which like in the situation that they're in, doing that kind of breaks down connections and breaks down like what's going on. And so not everybody knows what's happening, and that's how things go wrong. That's how people aren't informed of what's happening, and that's how she gets herself into these situations where she's like, I'm stuck and nobody can rescue me, right? Nobody can help me, which has happened to her many times, especially early on in the series. This is much more early on, not necessarily later.
No.
But a lot of like the early battles, especially the first one, this is like
in the Clone
season
Wars
1. No, this isn't season 1. But, like, especially that first one when they're fighting... Oh, who is it? I think it's Grievous.
I think so.
In, like, the 2nd or 3rd episode of the series, right? And she goes on her own against what everybody else says to try to go fight Grievous. And it's like, girl, okay, Miss Thing, you are 14.
I also don't know exactly if she's 14. She's definitely a preteen, though.
Yeah, you're a young person. What makes you think that you can fight this guy that your master hasn't been able to beat? Your grandmaster hasn't been able to beat? Like what? I don't understand. I mean, I appreciate her boldness and her willingness to like try, but she gets herself in so many situations where there is no turning back, and she often has to rely on other people to rescue her.
Yeah.
That's why I put her so low, and just because I feel like, I don't know. I want to see her getting herself out of that situation. I don't want to see her sitting back and like waiting for Anakin to come rescue her, waiting for Obi-Wan to come help her, whoever. You know, in some cases it's Padme, and others it's Satine, which, I mean, girls helping girls, woot woot.
Yes, we love it.
We love that.
So for me, it's no surprise to anyone that Ahsoka Tano is on my first list. I mean, she's been one of my biggest role models since I was a kid. Check back to episode 10. She's on my top 5 comfort characters list.
Yeah.
I agree with Gabby. I think her her recklessness in the beginning of the show and like movies was a little bit annoying.
Thank you.
But besides Padme, she's the only one we've really gotten to see grow up.
Yeah.
She's
true.
14 in the beginning of Clone Wars, and by the time and we see her grow out of her recklessness and learn from her actions into the woman we see in Rebels.
And
who has
Mandalorian.
And Mandalorian. But I was mostly focusing on Rebels because I wanted to bring up her stuff in Rebels. Fair. Because we get more of her in Rebels anyway. We get one episode.
That's true. I mean, she's in
like
one episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
It's fine. Yeah. But in Rebels, so at the end of the Ahsoka book, because I've also read the Ahsoka book, she joins up with Bail Organa and becomes Fulcrum. This basically like person that relays all this important rebellion information for the rebellion to them under a code name. And she starts up the whole Fulcrum thing and becomes Fulcrum for years, helping out the rebellion behind the scenes. And then when it's discovered that she's actually alive, she fights the Inquisitors like one-on-one, who like have bested Kanan and Ezra up to that point. And she like ends up like kicking almost all of their asses, and then she fights Vader himself. Yeah. She has to go and confront Anakin.
Yeah. Which I'm sure is a very difficult thing for her to do. I mean,
oh yeah.
Like I said before I started.
Oh yeah, true.
Like I said before I started, mine is mostly based off of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, because you haven't seen Rebels. But that whole scene, it starts with her being like, I thought I knew the man behind the mask. I guess I was wrong. Something like that. And then he mentions how Anakin Skywalker is dead.
Yeah.
She's like, well, then I'll avenge his death. Avenge is not the Jedi way. Yeah. I am no Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really interesting to hear how they talk about, like, Anakin as Vader in, like hearing you talk about it now versus hearing them talk about it in A New Hope. Because in A New Hope, they make it, like, if you know the story, you're listening to what Ben is saying, because he's still Ben Kenobi at that point. Yeah. You're listening to what he's saying, and he's like, oh, yes, Vader killed your father because he had greed and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's very interesting. Like, they probably didn't know when they were doing it, but, like, listening to it, like, totally makes sense.
Yeah. Because, so, in that earlier part, Kanan and Ezra have just, like, encountered Vader and were bested by him, of course, because it's Vader.
Yeah.
And they see a Sith presence, and Kanan and Ahsoka feel out with the Force to try to figure out who it is. And that's when she figures out Anakin Skywalker is alive, but as Vader.
Yeah.
And she kind of has to grapple that through the whole series. This man that she looked up to, her older brother, becoming this dark figure that is killing her friends.
I was going to say killing millions of people.
Killing millions of people, but also, like, people she knows in the rebellion.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very good allegory as to what, like, greed and, like, thirst for power can do to a person, you know? Yeah. I mean, not necessarily an allegory, because I guess it is just pretty direct, but...
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I think it's a very, very strong message. I mean, you can't miss it. It's, like, written in, like, red ink.
Yeah. So this next one I could go on and on about. It is Padme Amidala. She's my number 2. She's a strong, badass woman who never, as Gabby said earlier, stands idly by. So I've read the Padme books. And in them, you get so many great Padme scenes, of course. Some of them include her with the handmaidens, her learning every single one of their skills just in case she ever has to go undercover as one of the handmaidens. And them coming up with ways to trick not only everyone with the whole Queen Amidala situation, the voice, the makeup, all that, but her captain of the guards who's been by her side since she got elected as queen. Like, that is huge.
I remember you telling me about these not too long ago, and they sound very interesting. Like, these are definitely books I would read.
Yeah.
One of my favorite fun facts about that whole thing is in The Phantom Menace, it is actually Keira Knightley who plays.
Yeah, and she doesn't even know.
Fake her, and I think is very funny.
Same. And as I mentioned, she never stands idly by. Another scene in the Padme books that shows this is the epilogue for the second one. So the Padme Senate book, we see Sabe post Padme's funeral. So Sabe is her main handmaiden. It's Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley, yeah.
Phantom Menace. And she's looking at Padme's desk at every plan that she never got to complete, including freeing slaves. She even sent Sabe over to Tatooine to try to free Shmi Skywalker at one point in that book.
That, like, hurts my heart.
Like, Shmi and Anakin, that book is pre her marrying Anakin. That book is, she still sees him as 10-year-old him.
Anakin Skywalker, little baby boy.
Yeah. And she's still wanting to go and free this child's mother and sending her most trusted handmaiden.
Yeah, that breaks my heart.
Yeah. The Padme books get me really emotional. Another scene that makes me emotional is her literally talking with Brea Organa, so Leia's adopted mother, about wanting kids someday.
Also, a queen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we only see her for, like, literally 2 seconds, but what a queen.
Brea mentions how she wants a daughter. And, of course, we as the readers know it's the daughter of this woman she's talking to. But Padme talks about how she wants kids someday, maybe. And she even, like, I remember a scene that made me laugh when I was listening to the audiobook at one point. She's talking with her handmaidens who are all deciding what they're going to do post Padme leaving being a queen. And one of them talks about how she's going to be a foster mom for twins. And she goes, I can't imagine having twins. Let alone how many years later
she ends up having twins. Oh, that is so funny.
It made me laugh.
Whoever writes these books is a comedic genius.
Oh yeah, I love
like an ironic, like the type of stupid irony humor. I love that.
Same. My next one is Leia. She's so strong and powerful. Again, when I was researching it, she transformed to what it means to be a science fiction heroine with her leadership. And I mean, my whole caveat with this is, like, her whole storyline has to do with relationships she's in, even though we do see her be a leader. I mean, we see her comfort Luke after he lost Obi-Wan, when the same day she lost not only her parents, but the entire planet to the Death Star.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think part of it could be that, considering the, like, recentness of the situation, I know, especially for women, sometimes they, like, don't want to show their feelings, so they, like, bottle it up and, like, wait to be in private to grieve. So I mean, there's also a, like, section of time where we don't see her in the cell by herself.
I know.
So that could definitely be part of it when she's, like, grieving. We just don't see it, possibly. That doesn't take away from the fact that she is, like, comforting him, even though, like, her whole family and, like, people all just got blown up. But there's also a chunk of time where she's by herself that we don't see.
I love how I keep bringing the books into this, but I've read the
and I'm
Leia
here like,
book.
I don't know.
So we get a Leia book, and it's 16-year-old her finding out that Bail is the leader of this rebellion, and her joining it. And Mon Mothma is like her she's like her aunt, like how close her and Mon Mothma are.
That's cute.
Mon Mothma is the reason that she wants to go into, like, this leadership for the rebellion.
That's really cool.
We get to see their relationship develop, which makes me happy, because they're, like, the only two women there.
Yeah.
In the original trilogy.
Yeah.
You also get to see her interact with a young Holdo. Is that the pink hair lady from Last Jedi's name? You know who I'm talking about?
I think
the one that gets blown up.
I think I know who you're...
But in the ship. And
let me look.
But yeah, you get to see her interact with her and see how long that they've been friends. Because Leia is 16 in that.
Yeah, her, right? With the purple hair. Yeah,
purple
it's
hair.
Holdo.
Okay. Plus, another moment I just thought of, she fully leads Ezra and Kanan. She's like 16. She's just started this rebellion thing. And she leads Kanan, who has been a Jedi and all that in part of the rebellion from a long time. Plus Ezra, someone who is literally her age, because he's born on Empire Day. She's born the day after Empire Day. And he's born on Empire Day. They're the same age, and she's bossing him around and, like, telling him what to do.
I mean, she's such a, like, she's so compelling. You can't just, like, not listen to her.
Exactly. But yeah, like, they're so close in age. It blows my mind that Ezra and Leia are the same age in that episode.
I think it would have been cool if, like, I mean, there probably is one person in, like, the original trilogy that was, like, based, like, they were like, that's the guy we're gonna make Ezra. Like, I'm sure that if you look carefully, you could find somebody who looks similar.
I don't know, because, so, with us, like, researching all this stuff with Enigma, Lothal is so in the Outer Rim. It's pretty much, like, in the, like, outskirts of even, like, territories that were part of the Republic or even the Separatists. It is so far away from the Clone Wars that it's like, bye-bye.
Never mind, then. I was gonna say, like, when they're on
Hoth, it's kind of close to,
like
Muriel or Listahol, kind of that whole part of the galaxy.
Way out there. Oh, shoot. Okay, never mind then. I take back what I said.
I only know that because I was like, where is Lothal?
That's what happens when I talk about things I don't know that much about.
Well, no, I only know about it because I was like, where is Lothal when I looked up, like, a map of the galaxy for Enigma to see where.
Yeah. I mean, it could be argued, though, that, like, if there were, like, a, you know, like on Hoth is pretty out there.
Yeah.
Like, if there were
I mean, we do get a senator for them.
Yeah. So. I mean, if there were a battle there, I mean, who's to say that Ezra wasn't, like, with, like, if she was friends with, or if Leia was friends with Ezra, like, who's to say she wasn't like, yo, come help us out on Hoth, we need you, you know?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's plausible.
Though he is kind of gone by that point.
Oh, well, never mind.
Because, I mean, do you know that he's kind of disappeared?
No. We should move on.
Yeah. My next one is Rey. I mean, my opinions are the exact same as Gabby's. She's the first female and, like, female to have the plot centered around her in one of the trilogies, and she doesn't need a man.
Yeah.
And then Rose, I've already talked about it. I wish we got to see her and her sister interact more than just hearing it. But I do love that she will do what needs to be done for the rebellion and is keeping her sister close in memory with the necklace and the pendant.
Yeah, I agree. Like we said, I would really love to see a prequel show or, like, short film or something about her and her sister. Yeah, like, we're getting
one with Cassian Andor for Rogue One. Can we get one with Rose?
Yeah. Please? At Lucasfilms.
I mean, Lucasfilms did just cancel the show one of the shows I was looking forward to, so.
Cry.
Well, it's because, so it was I forget, why am I forgetting the name of it? But it's the Republic Squadron 1.
Oh, yeah.
They were going to do one based on them, and originally it was supposed to be Cara Dune as the lead, but of course, all that drama happened, and she got fired. So then they were reworking who was going to be the lead for that show, and they decided it was going to be Hera. but then canceled the show. So we almost got a live action Hera based show.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. But again, that would have been too much green makeup to pay for to make.
I mean, okay, if they could put Elphaba in green makeup 8 shows a week on Broadway.
True.
I'm sure they could do it for Hera.
True.
I mean, 8 shows a week on Broadway for 15 years? 15?
Crazy.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Anyway. Yep. Those are our thoughts.
Yeah, that's our thoughts about all things Star Wars.
Da 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 da. I'm like, I don't know, what else can we talk about while we're sitting here? I mean, we still have a little bit of time.
So I do know that, like, we just talked about some of our favorite women, but of the women we haven't talked about, like Sabe or
Satine,
Kira or Satine.
my queen.
Who's your favorite?
Satine.
Satine.
I mean, she's not in the show too much. She's only in a handful of episodes, but in those handful of episodes, I love her.
Yeah.
Like,
trying to think. I know I asked the question, but I'm trying to think. I think mine is Sabe because of the books.
Yeah.
She's our first LGBTQ representation of a main character.
Woo.
And she goes on a date with a woman in the show.
I love that for her.
Or in the books.
I love
it makes
that for
me happy.
her.
I mean, Padme kind of ruins that relationship, but it's fine.
Padme, how rude.
I mean, Sabe is literally undercover as Padme, and Padme, looks like Keira Knightley. So she's like awkward, like, I didn't know that this was a thing.
And she's like, oops.
And then she accidentally breaks them up.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't on purpose. Okay, fine. That's okay.
No.
It happens.
Yeah,
Accident
it happens.
But like in regards to Satine, first of all, another fantastic female leader. I mean, she's just like Leia in that sense, right? Where we see her, she runs her own freaking planet, which is like crazy to think about. Like running a planet, so much work.
Oh yeah.
Oof. And I mean, my Enigma character is based off of her, so like, come
mine's
on.
based on Padme, so
so like, I kind of have to like say she's my other favorite. I mean, mostly because she is. I mean, that's all I really have to say about it.
I also love I love how I just thought of like 3 women at the same time.
You're like, oh, and also her, and also her.
Sabine Wren.
Yeah.
Love her. Another major role model, just like Hera Syndulla. Those are, I'll just say them both at the same time. Spoiler alert for Bad Batch.
Are you gonna say Omega?
No. I mean, I'm going to say Omega. She's my 3rd one. But we got to see baby Hera.
Oh, that's
in
cute.
Bad Batch. And her relationship with Omega is so cute. Made me cry. It made me so happy. But you see her be a leader, and she's like, I think like 12 or 13. Like, she's in early teens, like same age as Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. And you see her be a leader from the first time you see her.
I like to think that like Satine and we know Padme is like that, but like I like to think that Satine is kind of a similar thing. Yeah. And definitely Leia for sure, as you've mentioned.
Oh yeah, and then Hera, of course. I mean, her father is literally the leader of the rebellion for her planet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Sabine, I love her so much. I mean, she uses her creativity to fight.
That's awesome. I love that.
Because she uses, like, explosives and, like, all the colors to fight. So she, like, every time you see her gone, it's, like, fireworks. With
I
all
love
the
that, yes. That kind of reminds me of, like, Honey Lemon, where she has, like, the...
Yes, she
like,
gives me
elements.
very, like, Honey Lemon vibes, but, like, not the personality, just, like,
the fighting style.
The fighting style, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, Honey Lemon gets her little colorful balls and gets to throw them. And she's like, I saw this thing. This is totally off topic, but really quick. And she, like, actually types in the elements on the little keypad and, like, in her brain thinks of it. I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah, and Sabine, like, knows all these languages and, like, it really helps them, like, out in battle. You know.
Conclusion, being smart he's cool.
Yeah. Plus, I love her voice actress and how sassy she was to toxic men.
Really quick, one last thing before we leave.
Okay.
This is just a general Star Wars thing that I've noticed that, like, has really bugged me, is that anytime somebody says, may the Force be with you, there's, like, no response. And every time I'm sitting there, I grew up Catholic, so anytime somebody says, you know, peace be with you, it's the, and also with you. So every time somebody says, may the Force be with you, I'm sitting on my couch going, and also with you.
Same.
Like
John
John
I grew up
Mulaney.
Lutheran, so. But same.
Yeah, it's like that John Mulaney quote that, like, somebody was at church and said, oh, and also you should have some.
Yeah. And then, of course, my last one is Omega, because Bad Batch. I love her so much.
Oh, sorry, I totally interrupted that.
Oh, it's totally fine.
It
is totally fine, Gabby.
I'm so sorry.
No, I understand. You're on your pain meds. It's fine. But yeah, like Omega and Hera's relationship killed me when I saw it. You should ask Alex. He was watching two episodes now ago when we got to see their relationship. And Omega goes something about how the Bad Batch are her brothers. And Hera goes, watch over them. They need it.
Aww.
And just like the Bad Batch like protecting her and just being great.
That like hurts my heart.
I love
don't even know who they are and it hurts my heart.
I love Omega so much.
Oh my gosh, girl, don't cry.
I'm going to.
I know, I can see the tears like welling up in your eyes.
Yeah. I love Omega so much. Yeah. I don't like whatever the name of the character is that they've also added for Bad Batch. Who's like the like person giving them all their missions. I don't like her at all.
I don't know.
I think her name is Sid. No. I don't like her. And this last episode was very heavily revolves around her, and I could not care less. You should ask Alex. I was literally on my phone the entire episode.
I mean, earlier, before you started saying that, I was going to say, well, that seems like a lovely place to wrap this up.
Yep. There it is. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Fan Fatales. Gabby, would you like to tell our lovely audience what we will be chatting about next week?
Yeah, next week we're going to be talking about so many Harry Potter topics. We're going to be sorting a bunch of different characters from a bunch of different franchises into all of the Hogwarts houses, which we're like, woo, the lists are enormous, you guys. These lists are huge.
Yeah, we're even going to be sorting Star Wars.
Yeah, so if you want to check that out, tune in next week.
Yeah.
We're also going to be talking about some fan theories and some of our unpopular opinions, just like we did this week with Star Wars.
Yeah. And remember to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, and now on YouTube as well for our video.
Woo-hoo. Please leave us a review and comment down below to tell us what you think about the show. And remember to follow us on Instagram for the latest updates and to possibly be featured in a future episode.
Our music is by our amazing friend Maddie Macon.
And our editing is by the wonderful and lovely Kara Linsmeyer.
As always, thank you for tuning in. Bye!
Bye!